Sorry, I was looking at something. That's on me. That's my bad. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited. Round 2 of the applause.
I think that happened last week too.
Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited, a show that we do once a week where we talk about the classic series Quantum Leap, starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. This week, we're going to be discussing the season 4 episode called Temptation Eyes. It's season 4, episode 13, I believe. And this one has a special guest star, Tamlin Tamita, and veteran character actor James Handy, who you've probably seen in a million shows and whatever as well. So this is an interesting episode where Sam leaps into a reporter who works in the San Francisco area in 1985. And before I even introduce our first guest, I'll say that our first guest is just the perfect fit for an episode like this, because Ro is basically a veteran broadcast newsman, and this type of thing of going and reporting and doing these things, these kind of run and gun reporting style, whatever we see here, is something that actually is part of Ro's expertise. Am I right?
You are 100% correct. I was watching to make sure that they got everything right, except for one thing, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
I will say something is wrong either with my audio or with yours. Script, can you hear me?
I can hear you, and for a brief moment there, Ro was actually roboting and also speaking at double his normal
It
pace.
was really, really weird.
Yeah.
I suggest...
leave and I'll come back.
That's perfect. But yeah, okay.
He was perfect before the show.
I'll introduce Script in the meantime. Of course, we have Script Doctor. He is a veteran screenwriter. He has his own Patreon where he teaches screenwriting. On his YouTube channel, Script Doctor, he has a show called Script on Saturdays, every Saturday at 7 p.m., where he and another guest go over screenplays that have either been greenlit by Hollywood studios, are being considered by Hollywood studios, or have been declined by Hollywood studios, but have been on a list of top 100 screenplays that they look at every year. And he usually discusses these scripts with a guest. How's it going, Script?
It's going well. Happy to be here tonight, especially for tonight's episode. Yeah,
it is an interesting episode. I see that Nick wrote, I didn't want to say anything. I know that he has a family member that's sick, so he couldn't make it today. He actually was interested in being here because he enjoyed the episode, but we'll have a nice conversation about it regardless. And back to Ro. So Ro, part of this whole news coverage is actually Ro's field of expertise. So when we look at things today, he'll be able to tell us how accurate they got it, what they got right, what they didn't get right, how accurate it was for the year that they're trying to show that it's happening. Because there's two things going on. One, how things are today when it comes to news, but I assume you also would know kind of how things were in 1985 and if they got that aspect of it correct.
Yeah, I think they did pretty well. I always complain when I see news photographers hold a camera like this instead of where you're supposed to hold it by the lens. So little things like that bug me. So they did everything. They did everything right. They even, like, when you do a countdown to a talent on screen, you usually don't say the one. Obviously you count to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but you hardly ever see, especially in television, they'll always go all the way down to the 1. And in real life, you don't count the 1. You just go 5, 4, 3, 2. And then you point to them. So
that's to avoid audio bleed over, isn't it? For when they
because somebody might over or undercut. I think it is. They don't want to go to a talent too soon, and then you'll hear somebody in the background say 1. So they better safe than sorry. But yeah, they got a lot of things right. The equipment was spot on as well. Those old tube cameras are super heavy, although he was going live. I didn't see any other equipment that he was going live with, but I assume he disconnected a cable. I assumed the other end of the live getup was somewhere else.
Should be
which
in
is
the truck. Yeah.
yeah, it should be in the truck. But yeah, absolutely, pretty spot on when it comes to news coverage there.
Well, it's just missing one more guy, and that's usually the guy that's in the truck, because there's the guy in
Right.
the truck, the cameraman, and then the field reporter minimum
Sure.
on those
And
remote.
back in the days, it used to, even if you didn't have a truck and if you weren't going live, it was a 2-man crew besides plus the reporter, because the second guy would be the audio guy, and then the camera guy.
Yep.
So you think that here they actually just kind of did a shortcut with 2 people? It should have been like a van with more people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially if they were going live.
Yeah. And this is 85, so this is still like in the early days of live on location broadcasting.
Yeah, it was they would use a microwave truck. I mean, satellite truck if they had it, but kind of a
Most
local
likely
news
microwave,
story.
yeah. Especially if it's a local affiliate, because they couldn't afford the satellite.
Right. But overall, I think they portrayed a news photographer quite well, right down to the the chain smoking and all of those things, the leather jacket. I mean, I've known many news photographers that were just like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, and like I said, that's James Handy. I've seen him in a lot of shows and over the years. It's probably a name that doesn't mean a lot to people, but if you think about it, you've seen him in like every show. I didn't Google his IMDb, but I have a feeling that if I did, I would see him like on tons of programs. No, yeah. Because like he's exactly this kind of like he's a character, and he's exactly that character that you want to play a certain type of character, if you understand what I'm saying.
Well, no, he's a character actor, and he can play a wide range. This one here, he's the best friend, who also happens to be a competent cameraman. And yeah.
I just want to also, of course, there's a lot of people here like Tex and Rhonda Neferro and Marla and Kit Kat and Mary White and all this other stuff, and the Dead Man. But I also wanted to say hi to Tracy Alexander, who is back today. We hadn't seen her in a minute, and I was just hoping that everything was okay. So I'm happy that she's back. And yes, DJ Play Nice, you're here as well. And Super Mario Brothers 3 wrote a ton of great comments before we arrived. But now let's see if I can find the file for this thing and share it so we can start actually digging in. I have it in 2 files, Ron. It's Excellent. Not in one file.
Can we highlight a super chat?
Oh no, your voice again. We can highlight. Oh wow, thank you for the Malachi D. Wildman. Thank you so much. Malachi D. Wildman, super chat, $10. Outside of writing, would the product of this union been a better bridge protagonist of the newer series? If set 20 years instead of 30, the age would have matched up with Sam's. I'm trying to think.
Wait, are you referring to like the union between Sam's character and Tamlin produced Ben's song for the sequel series? Is that what you're implying?
First of all, that would have made that show a whole lot more interesting than what it was. I actually really like that idea.
Wow.
Never thought about it even once, that they would make Ben's song the product of what happened here in this episode. Never thought about it. Like the idea a lot. And yeah, they probably never thought about it as well.
Yeah, because I guess that because that would have been what, nearly 40 years. Ben's song's around the right age, so yeah, that would have actually been more interesting to do.
That would have
but
been.
I also
great,
think it would have been I also feel like it would have been a little bit inauthentic, because now you're missing the motivation as to why Ben is doing this, because he never knew his father.
Yeah. You would have had to have changed his whole backstory, but I think that it would have made more sense to me. Malachi D. Wildman, so thank you very much for the $10 super chat. And also, again, I like it. I like it much better than what they did. I don't like anything they did with the new series, having this guy somehow be that this is his mother. Maybe she passed away and he's looking, or even still keep her alive. That would have also been interesting. And
sure.
that he maybe she tells him about his father and he goes to this program. I don't know what. There was something there better than what they did, better than anything they did. What they did was garbage. So Backyard Tardis for $5 super chat. Ro, how do you feel about the relationship between the detective and the reporter? Is accurate to your experience?
Not in my experience. I think reporters, we do talk to detectives, but they don't give us that type of access. They don't give us that kind of information. It's all especially nowadays. It's all, you have to go through official channels and stuff like that. I think I don't even know if they did that specifically in the 80s.
But there was more of a chance of it than maybe there were people.
Yeah. Yeah, there was more of a chance back then, but I still feel like even in the 80s, there still was a sort of decorum. I think the aspect of reporters kind of working hand in hand with detectives is more of a Hollywood thing. Because in the news world, there's this adage of, you don't become involved, you don't become part of the story. You have to kind of step outside of it and then look in instead of being right in there. So I think that would kind of negate that sort of thing.
Well, thank you for the super chat also, Nick, and of course I hope everything is okay at home. Wishing speedy recovery and all that good
Yes.
stuff, like I told you privately earlier. And yeah,
Am I motorboating again?
No,
you
you're
were
good.
you were for a second, and then
Okay.
you like now you're somehow Ro has returned.
Somehow. Excellent. Perfect.
Is
Just
anyone
let me
else in
know.
the household using the internet right now?
I'm sure there are.
I think there was a comment here that was interesting, and I feel like it escaped me, but yeah. In any case, I did really like Malachi D. Wildman. And the truth is, I've thought a lot about ideas of what they could have done with a reboot, and that one never even crossed my mind of the not reboot, whatever it was, sequels, so-called sequel series. There's other episodes which I won't spoil down the road that I thought that they would come into play when it came to making the
Yeah.
sequel series. They never bothered to, even address anything that happens there. So they didn't go for that one, and this would have been another one, which could have been interesting. I'm just ashamed that I never thought of it, but I don't know if it would have worked or not. But it was certainly something interesting. I promise you that those guys that made that show, they probably never even watched this episode.
No, it was a miracle that they actually brought in Al's widow in that series.
And they really, really annoyed me. I mean, not to get into that one, the fact that he had a daughter that like her mom is like 70 years old, and she drugged her wine, and the mom collapses, and then she just like steals her stuff and runs away, was just like, man, to talk about like just going off a cliff. You know what I mean? Like that is not. You don't do that to your mom. You know what I mean? When you don't do that to your mom in general, but if your mom's like in her 70s or whatever it is, like you don't suddenly give her something that she'll collapse and then you run away. That just is like insane.
Yeah, she's 70. You don't have to give her anything to collapse. She's gonna take a nap naturally on her own, and that's how you do your thing.
Right. You can sleep at some point. You can then look in the drawer and try to find her papers or whatever you were looking for. I really think that was like bonkers insane. But never mind. Which that annoys me the most when they bring like an actress that you do know, and then they just like poo-poo all over her and her character.
Well, it's that and stunt casting. Like it's a combination of it. It's like, oh, we'll bring this cast member back because it's a stunt to get the hardcore fans in, and then what are we going to do with her? We'll knock her out. Just,
Hey, Scribelight, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Scribelight apparently likes Quantum Leap. He's should at some point join us if he wants, but somehow I don't know. We never coordinated. I'll try to do better. I gotta do better, Senator. And so yeah, okay. I was gonna share the screen, right? That's what I was gonna do.
Yes.
I don't know why I didn't until now. Well, there was a lot of action going on, but now we're here, and I will embiggen it.
Excellent.
And now we have the thing. Theorizing that one gets rather and the next one will be the leap home. And then it's like this is all right. You're on, and then he's like, oh boy,
look at that phantom power cable in there, huh?
and then
I doubt that microphone needed phantom power though.
Oh no, your voice again. I think your voice was motorboating again.
Yeah, it probably was. But so that's funny. In the shot on Sam, there's nothing plugged into the camera from the mic, but then in the reversal there is.
Oh, that's true.
So
That's
there's nothing
weird.
plugged into the channel.
Where's Ro?
He's right there.
Ro.
What I miss?
I'm just pointing out how the microphone's not plugged into the camera in this shot, but then on the reversal it is.
Oh yeah, I did see the.
That is strange. Why would they do that?
It probably was blocking Sam or blocking Scott. I don't know.
Continuity.
No, you could be right. Maybe it was blocking him.
Yeah, that's
so they just figured it would be confusing.
Awkward. Yeah.
Good catch, man.
Yeah, plot hole. There we go. Yeah.
Plot hole, yeah. And then he's like, this is kind of funny because he absolutely doesn't know anything that's going on.
So we're here in a building and there's been a murder.
And I'm in San Francisco. I'm in San Francisco. And he's like,
then he looks at the mic flag. Who am I? What am I doing? Oh,
Channel
12.
Yeah, that's the one.
we had an intern who our news director asked to go live one time, and I can't believe he did it because she was just an intern and she did probably as well as Sam just did. Very embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean it's nerve-wracking once you actually realize what the responsibility is and how many eyes are going to be on you.
For sure. So yeah, so he's like, come on, man, we're not going to get picked up by our affiliates if you continue to act like this. And then
I'm going to go find another way around.
Yeah, I'm going to find another way into the room. And then like he looks in the mirror and he sees, he's kind of an older newscaster guy.
Like a slightly better looking Ted Koppel.
And then, oh, hello, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Don't I know you?
Yeah, I'm the news guy.
I'm the news guy. Oh, I'm Dylan Powell. Oh.
I'm Tamlin. I'm an actor playing my own name, so it's not confusing.
That's kind of weird that they called her Tamlin. I mean,
it probably was just easier because they're like, oh, that's an interesting name. Because again, in the scripts, all the screenplays, Al does not go by Al in the screenplay. He goes by as the Observer. That's his character name.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's Sam and the Observer are the.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's how he appears in the script. Why don't they just call him Al?
Well, they do in the dialogue, but they don't in the script, and I think that has to do with just consistency because in the pilot he doesn't really reveal his name right away, so he's just the Observer. And
right, but then in the later episodes they still call him the Observer, only in the pilot.
Oh yeah, up until definitely season 4, because I have a ton of these scripts lying around.
Wow, that's cool. That's interesting.
So she's like, well, what are you, a psychic? Yeah, that's exactly what I am. Oh, well,
I'm a psychic for guessing you were a psychic.
Everybody's got some ESP.
Well, maybe I'll see you around. Well, I have a good feeling about it. And then he's like, "Hey, what's that? Oh, it's a psychic. Man, these guys must be desperate that they got this this psychic lady."
This he looks like which was a little jarring to me. He looks like an old friend of mine who used to be the president of the National Association of Broadcast and Engineers. And I kept looking at him, and I kept doing a double take because he looks exactly like them with the white hair and everything. But it's funny because he doesn't take off. There's a belt that he's wearing underneath his jacket, the photographer. Mm-hmm. And that's the battery belt for the big light that's on his camera. And I definitely would have taken that off after I was done with the live shot.
Yeah, those like 13, 14 pounds.
Yeah.
So you're saying he does have the belt on him?
Yeah, he does. He still has the belt on him. And then the headset, obviously, he was talking to somebody. But obviously, we were talking about the live truck. He should have been talking to somebody in the truck. But
where do you see the belt?
It's a little bit
in a
further back in the wide.
It's in a wide shot. You can see
You gotta
kind
go
of the
further
belt
back.
underneath.
Yeah.
You'll see it eventually. Every so
Yeah,
often.
there he
Yeah,
is.
there he
There
is.
it is.
He's got like a
Oh.
It's that black belt right
I
underneath.
see it. I see
yeah.
it. Wow, I love how Ro is like looking on says such a detailed way of into his thing, but it's cool. So he's like, "We got to get in there." So
I'll
here's
find
the part
another
that at the
way.
beginning, I think there's the detective that he's like trying to get it. Was it already earlier that he's trying to get the detective to let him in?
Yeah, he wants to get the detective to let him in, but the police are prohibiting him for a number of reasons. Obviously, not tampering with the crime scene, but also the cops point out that whoever this serial killer is has been tipping off Sam just before the murder happened, or right after the murder happened. Yeah,
he's tipping off your partner before the crime. Well, you're not going to let us in the room, and then this whole thing happens, and then he's like, "Well, we got to find a way in there." And then they go around and they do the thing and they film. I think they would still get kicked out in theory. I mean, if I was a detective and I saw these
Right.
like these peeping toms like standing around and taking this footage of this psychic, would never let that happen. I don't know how they could possibly. This is like, it's not even like some kind of incognito, like, you know what I mean? This is, they're in play.
Well, it's also San Francisco PD in the 80s. So, I mean, just if you know their reputation, it hasn't been very good for a
You
while.
know what? Maybe today they would let them film.
Well, today there's nothing they can do to stop it because you can hide cameras so much far easier today than
today you could really like they could be camouflaged and really quietly put a little camera there. The thing is, today probably the police wouldn't even arrive to investigate this. Everybody would be waiting for like a week until they showed up here. Based on like the stories you hear from San Francisco these days. Nothing personal. If somebody lives there, I don't know. I just hear stories that like, you know, crime isn't so, you know, it's not doing so great there right now.
No, if crime's doing wonderful there. It's the prevention.
Right. Sorry. That
crime, you can make money with crime in San Francisco.
Crime is actually doing very well there. That's like the main export of San Francisco these days.
Yeah, if they were an IPO, people would have a huge rise in the stock market for it.
Right, like that. That's their most like thriving industry, crime. So basically, they give her a pillow, and she's like, "The person came in, he attacked her, he choked her, and then she choked her, and he cries, and he said he was sorry, and he cried, oh, and then something like that, and then they take him away." I do like certain setups in this episode. I thought it was a nice touch that the guy's I mean, he's kind of an idiot if he'd be standing around the crime scene, but generally speaking, at least they give us the impression that there's a fishy guy standing here.
Mm-hmm.
And then he walks away, and then he's like, hey, I'm gonna,
well, his buddy's saying, like, let's go out for drinks. He's like, no, I'm gonna actually talk to, the cute lady.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to the lady. I want to hear more about her.
Catch you next time.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh well, maybe I should walk you home. You probably shouldn't walk by yourself. It's not safe." She's like, "Well, I don't know you, but I feel like I do. So yes, why don't we walk over to my place?" And then they walk. I liked Tamlin Tomita. I thought she was kind of cute.
No, she is.
Very much so. Adorable.
Yeah.
That's why I was happy that Sam finally got some.
I was too. And I don't know why you keep his script. Is it just me? Or was he motorboating again?
Yeah, there's a little bit of robot in there.
Talk now, Ro?
Check 1 2 1 2 3.
Yeah, there seems like there's some interference with your connection. It's not as bad as it has been before, but it's there.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
All right. We'll tell jokes.
So this is just them kind of he's investigating her ESP.
Right.
And then here we have actually, unfortunately, a really bad Al composite.
They've become so lazy. This is like they're just at this
He's
point.
Not even
they're
on
like
scale with the rest of the characters in the show.
Right, and they don't even care. They just say like, "Screw it, we'll just move him after the thing." Like nobody cares. Like we'll make it like he came in the wrong length. It's a cop out that we've seen in recent episodes that I feel like they're just doing this very quickly without giving it much thought. And it rather annoys me.
I think they just screwed up the photography scale because the lighting on Al is perfect for this shot. The problem is that he's not scaled correctly to the frame. So I think they ended up shooting him a little bit too close probably about 4 or 5 feet closer than he should have been. And then because in the 90s, even digital scaling on film, whether they shot on film or videotape, is not easy to do. I think they ended up just, in order to meet their deadline, just used it as it was, because when they shot the Al stuff on the green screen, they nailed the lighting, but I think their camera distance was too close.
This looks awful. This annoys me. Oh, sorry, I have to.
Yeah, look at him. Al's huge.
Let's see if I can get away with it. I hope these pauses will keep the thing away. I don't really like how this was done. This is just random. It annoys me that they can't do this better. You could tell they're just in a hurry.
I don't know if it was in a hurry. I think it was just inexperience, because this is Christopher Hilber's first directing gig on Quantum Leap.
That's true.
And I don't know if the second unit did this or he participated in it, because he does do a few more episodes next season. So they didn't hate him.
No, and you know what? I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't think he did a bad job with this episode. I thought this episode created the atmosphere that he wanted, and it was a rather decent episode. I didn't say this before, Tex Rogers, but Paul Brown wrote this. Paul Brown wrote something else in the past. He's one of the producers. I didn't love some of his previous stuff, or one of these previous episodes. I think the baby one was his, the one that also starred Julie Brown. I believe she's his sister. So basically, I'm saying that some of the stuff he's done in the past I remember not loving, but I actually think that in this episode, Paul Brown did a pretty decent job. And Christopher Hilberg, or whatever you just said, did a decent job at the directing, I think.
Well, this is, this is his last season on the show, because he was a staff writer who then got producer credit. But so this is his second to last episode that he wrote.
Oh, I didn't know that. But in any case, this is, I don't know what his other episodes are, but this is probably one of the better ones. In any case, they talk, and then he's like, Sam, tell her you want a cup of tea so we can talk. And then she's like, do you want a cup of tea? And he's like, oh, thank you. And then
it's like, that's a coincidence. Okay.
Right. And then he's like, Sam, you're here to stop the killer. And then I think he tells her, and she's next. She's the next one that dies. She's the seventh victim.
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks from now, she's the seventh victim. 2 weeks from now, Al.
That's
exactly.
a long time.
That's a long time. What am I going to do here? It's funny because you'd think that Al would give him the kind of advice of, well, she doesn't look bad. Instead, he's like, Sam, you're an old man. You're too old for her. He's like, what do you mean I'm too old for her? Is that here?
59.
Yeah, it did seem like Al was a little, I don't want to say completely out of character, but he wasn't his like usual pervy self.
Right.
Well, I think that maybe he was worried that Sam, maybe he was worried that Sam wasn't focusing on his mission here, because maybe he's used to Sam not wanting it all the time, and suddenly Sam sort of acts differently, so he doesn't quite know how to. I can totally understand how, if they're usually consistent with their character and suddenly Sam acts sort of different, then maybe Al is trying to counterbalance that with like a little more responsibility of like, don't forget what you're here for. And then she's like, do you like this type of tea, Sam? And then he's like, and then there's like a commercial, and then Sam, oh, that's sorry, I meant Dylan. Oh, okay, I'll put that tea. Yeah, I don't know, it was a coincidence. A coincidence, Al? I don't think so. And then she comes out and she's like, I feel like there's another energy in the room. Oh, I don't know. I can feel it. Can you feel the other energy? That's it, Sam. I'm leaving. And then she's like, tomorrow I have to go to the police station to look at photos of people, and maybe I can join you for that. Oh, yes. Something like that, right?
Right.
Yeah, well, yeah, she talks about, the police wanted her to look at mugshots to see if her vision would identify the assailant.
Right. And she talks about the pillow thing. Whatever we saw, basically, she recaps him like, oh, they gave me a pillow.
Yep. Well, like if she touches an object that was close to the thing she can see, see it, so to speak. Yeah, they kind of play fast and loose with their psychic abilities. And yeah, Sam is rather smitten with Tamlin, and how can you not be?
She's a lovely young lady, or
Yeah, she is.
relatively young lady. I would be happy about this leap as well, except for her being, killed. But
Well, Sam's here to stop that.
Yep.
yeah, so he's like, well, we'll go together. Yeah, I don't know if I like this guy here, but no, I want him here with pictures. Well, obviously, if you ever say anything, you're never going to do another report again.
Yeah, don't influence her. This is basically his warning.
I feel something. I feel like this is a person, but it's like he's wearing a mask and he's covered by a different person.
Like,
And then Sam was like, well, why don't we flip the page?
Yeah.
And then, yes, at least he killed one of them. The last victim, Janini, killed her.
I like that little twist where, you feel, obviously you get that story element where you're introduced to the supposed killer, but there's something just not quite right about this picture. And then it's as simple as turning the page. I'm like, oh, it's him, but it really isn't, I like that
Right.
little
Right.
gray area there.
Right.
Well, I mean, because I think if I interpreted this correctly, the guy in question, who they think is a suspect, only had thoughts of an attack, but didn't actually do it. Right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, he did kill one of them.
He killed one of them. Okay.
The victim that we just saw is the only victim that this other killer killed. But because there were other killings at the time, they lumped him in with the other killings, even though he was his own killer.
Right. Okay. Okay. That makes more sense. But the only thing that does throw me off is the start of this episode, we find out that Sam's character, the person he leapt into, was tipped off that this murder happened, and that's why he's there.
Right.
So how did he get tipped off when we know who the real murderer is?
You know what? That is a brilliant, brilliant plot hole. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, like that's the question we have to throw out to the audience. Can we fill that? Is there something we missed in the episode? Or is it just an absence with regards to the production?
So we don't know who tipped him off? We're not sure who tipped him off? Or do we speculate that it was probably the real killer?
The police inform us through exposition that the killer is always calling Sam, giving him the tips of something, of a murder. And Sam's character immediately calls the police to say, I was just tipped off that this happened, and this is the location where you'll find the body. I will meet you there with my news crew, and the police will go and investigate. And that seems to be what the relationship has been over the last few months regarding this serial killer in San Francisco. So now we have this other murder, which I guess the script is trying to set up as a red herring towards the real serial killer.
Right.
But it's still...
It doesn't make sense that they were first on the scene. I think that this is... I don't know how this has never occurred to me, but you are absolutely right. That is a plot hole. But I will give them credit that because it's at the beginning and you're not thinking of anything, that's why you're not really thinking about it. It's just upon reviewing it again and really thinking about it, it doesn't quite make sense. If I had to try to give an answer, I could say that, well, Sam leaped in this guy, so maybe this time he didn't get one. But if he didn't get one, how would they know to be on the scene?
Unless they had a source within the police that gave him, information.
Yes.
Hey, this is happening. But it doesn't seem like we have that, because this scene seems to not like this
Right.
reporter.
This scene makes it seem like the only reason they're there is because they have the tips, because otherwise the guy doesn't even like them. So if they would have... The problem is, if they would have dwelled on this point, it would have given away what the red herring and all that stuff was. So they probably figured by the time anybody gets to really understanding what's going on in this episode, they're not going to remember that detail. And I think that that's fair enough.
It's possible. I mean, Nick has a good thing in the comments where she's maybe, as this guy was a copycat killer or alluded to be a copycat killer, he called in the tip himself.
That's what I thought.
You know what? That's also a good idea.
That could work.
At the end of the episode, that's what I thought. And obviously,
they did say it's a copycat. I think you should try to go in and go out, Ro. There's something wrong with your audio. Although I don't know why it keeps happening. And yeah, they say he's a copycat at the end, so I'll go with that. Is it a bit strange that he would be a copycat and call the police? Sure, but you know what? Who knows? Yeah. Oh, okay. The guy, I got it. I have the solution, and I think it's a solution that's good enough. Let me run this by you, Script. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
The guy said that I think he didn't mean to kill this Janine lady. He was upset and he killed her, okay?
Okay.
For whatever reason. So he kills her, and then once he does, he wants people to think that he was the serial killer that's killing all those ladies. So what does he do? He actually calls the reporter, because by now everybody knows probably to some degree that this reporter is the one getting the tips, and he's always on the scene. So this guy, in order to follow the same MO, he calls him, and that way and it works because everybody thinks this is just another victim on the list of victims from that same serial killer.
Well, I think there's only one hiccup on that, which is if he accidentally killed her and he doesn't want to get caught, it would be best for him to call in and claim that he was the guy, so that they would be looking for a suspect that matches all the other clues of the previous murders and technically not him. Right? He's framing the serial killer for his own crime so that he can try and be excused from it.
I guess.
Yeah.
Tex Rogers says no one makes perfect sense. He has a solid alibi for the other crimes, and so by looking like in the
series, yeah, because if they're going to try to pin all the other murders on him, he might have an alibi of like, no, I was here in this public when murder victim number 5 was killed, and so they'd be like, okay, well, clearly evidence is just pointing into this guy, even though 5 out of the 6 murders, he's got this convincing alibi, and maybe he has a 6th one as well. But yeah, I think that's more just to throw off the case. This was also something that happened actually in the Zodiac Killer, where some other people were murdered, and the perpetrator would then send in a pseudo letter cipher thing claiming that they murdered that person, so that they'd blame it on the Zodiac, assuming that when the Zodiac was found, they would just charge that killer with the murder that they didn't commit, and there'd be no room for reasonable doubt because they would have already pinned a few murders on the Zodiac Killer already. But unfortunately, no one ever really identified who the Zodiac Killer was. Right. So those are unsolved cases to this day.
So at this point, by the way, even with all this thing today, didn't recently somebody decipher one of his letters or something like that? The Zodiac Killer, wasn't there a letter that people couldn't decipher, but then somebody managed to do it in recent years?
The story is that it was put in the newspaper and someone finally managed to solve it. And then they were able to use that formula for all the other letters, but it unfortunately did not help them narrow down who the suspect was. Although there's a couple of people who have made claims that it was a family member of theirs that perpetrated these crimes.
Yeah, it's always a bummer when you can't find the person, but that's another story. So in any case, they're like, it's Tony Besh, put out an APB on him. And I'm just wondering, like, that's so fast. Wouldn't they have to have any kind of other thing that ties him before they put an APB out? But whatever. Tony Besh is sitting wherever he's at, and he's like, yeah, and then he killed the stripper called Janine Travis. And then, like, he sits there. And then... and the thing is, I think that they were all like strippers and hookers, the other ones. Mm-hmm. So either this guy followed the MO and purposely, maybe it wasn't an accident, he just went and wanted to kill her, and he's sort of a copycat. But that's what they're claiming, copycat. So I'm going to go that he tipped him off. I don't have another explanation, so I'll go with that. And then he's like, oh, I don't feel well. I have to go out for water. Okay, let me go get you a glass. You stay here with Ross. No, I have to go out by myself into the hallway.
You know, it's a little foreboding that she starts to feel a little woozy, and the killer is right next to her.
They did that on purpose, and every time he's there, she feels bad. But I thought this was built pretty nicely, this episode, the way they did all this. And he's like, hey, what's up with you two? Well, I was just...
You were talking last night. That's it? Just talking? Yeah, just talking.
Just talking? That's all you do? And then... And then they're here at her place, and
he's getting her story about when she got her first sort of psychic premonition.
Right. She's like, Well, I one day I woke up in the middle of the night and my mother was there and she kissed me and she said that everything was going to be okay, and that she loved me. And then in the morning I woke up and my dad was crying, and it turned out that my mom was dead. And she's always there in my dreams. And then I'm sorry, I have to walk next to the mirror. And then he goes after her and she's like, "Hey, why do you look different?" He's like, "Well, what do you mean? You look like you're not the same. You can see me? Yes, now you look different." And then
I
he,
think this was a great little pivot.
yes,
You know, this late into the series, I think again, I think this season we've been talking about some of the shows kind of swinging for the fences. Some of them may have hit, some others may have not, but this one for sure, they tried something different, and I think it really worked in the vein of the story of this psychic character. I thought it was great.
I did too. I like the idea because so many times we've seen in the mirror, and this is the first time that somebody looks at him and he's suddenly like the zoom out, and that he's actually
Right.
Sam, and that's how she sees him. That's really cool. I
Yeah.
really liked what they did. It's simple yet effective. And then he's like, "Yeah, your name is Sam." "Yes." "Sam, don't tell her anything. Don't say anything."
That hat doesn't match the outfit, dude.
It never does. I think they got that from Warren Beatty because he did Dick Tracy around that time.
And then he's it's like, "Oh, you come from the future?" I don't know what she says to him.
Is there a rule in lore where Sam can't really tell the other people?
Generally speaking, I think
Is
that
it a soft rule, or
it's a
It's a
soft
quantum
rule.
leap rule, really. It's just don't tell anyone who you really are, because that could cause other problems. Like if you tell someone from the
ripple in
past
the time or something?
that time travel is possible, they might start looking into where it would be in the origins of it, and then disrupt the very project so it doesn't exist anymore, and then wipes out everything they ever did, creating a paradox. So yeah, there's a lot of issues there. And
Yeah, you're right, Tex Rogers. She said, "Who are you?"
when she saw his reflection in the mirror, that wasn't the guy who she was standing next to, but Sam. Now, this is another interesting aspect. So in this episode here, when Sam says that when he leapt was 1990, and he's deliberately cut off from saying what the year was when he leapt.
yeah.
So that goes back to how it was kind of like much later in the 90s, but that gets
right. They fudge it a little. Yeah.
that gets changed a little next season.
Yes. So this is the part where they talk, and he's like, "I'm from the future. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I've been dreaming of you. You were in my dreams. There was
And a
water
whirlwind
around
of
me,
water and light."
water and light, and you were there pulling me out." And he's like, "This is how I feel when I feel fear or love." "Love? I know what you mean." And then it's like, "Gonna take a little time to think things over." They have like the whole song playing, and like the
Yeah, which would
The
be
whole
expensive.
montage.
Gotta know what
"In
love
my
is, right?
life, there's been heartache and pain. I don't know if I can face it again." "Hey, Sam, are you wearing boxer shorts?" Or something.
Sam, of all the times I've told you to bed all these beautiful women, this is the one you finally do it with.
Does he say that? I'm trying to remember.
No, but that would be a natural Al line,
Right, yeah.
for this
Right,
episode.
like. And then it's like, Sam, when you...
I think Al's also intimidated by the fact that she can sense his presence, even though she can't really hear him.
Yeah, that could be.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this point he's like, "Fine, Sam, I'm leaving." And then he's like, "Sam, we found Tony Besh." He's like, "You did?"
Yeah,
And,
he's around the corner.
He's just around the corner.
No, didn't he say it was 15 blocks away?
Or something. Yeah,
He's
something
50,
like that.
Yeah.
He's 15 blocks away, Sam. He's 15. Sam, he's 15 blocks away. All right, Al, I'm gonna go right now. And then this is where he goes, and he tries to, apprehend him, and then like he jumps out with a knife, and then he's like, "You killed him. You killed all of them." And he's like, "I killed Janine. I killed Janine."
Well, this is Roy LaBelle, who another big character actor. He's been in tons of stuff. For your sci-fi fans out there, the only time he was a series regular was in the show called The First Wave, which was a sci-fi show that ran for like 4 seasons, I think.
What was it called?
The First Wave. It was from the late 90s and it crossed into the early 2000s. This guy was abducted by aliens and he figured out the plan, and he's using Nostradamus's prophecies to help him guide to saving humanity. This is a new one for you, Ro, and maybe Nick knows about it. You guys should check it out. It's weird.
Tracy Alexander is asking, where was the smoke coming from before Al arrived in the bedroom? Was there smoke in the bedroom before?
Yeah, somebody had mentioned it early on. Another plot hole.
Oh,
okay.
The cigar came in first.
Yeah.
Or you mean here, where there's a cigar here?
Well, he's already there.
He's already there, and there's a cigar, I guess. Was there smoke before when they're... I mean, I don't see smoke here. They're kind of just...
There's that cloud. That's cloud in front of the moon.
Yeah, it's cloud in front of the moon. A little time to think things over.
That's horrible wallpaper, I will say, for that bedroom. That is...
Serious. They really committed to that wallpaper. So he was standing with the thing. I don't know.
He's already there, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's okay. And then, so back here, he's like, well, Sam, she still gets killed. What do you mean? I don't know. Maybe she was a copycat. And then...
oh, my God. Is that Tracy Lords in The First Wave? Yes.
Okay.
I'm just looking at...
okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, she was in she's in Aaron Waters films too, isn't she? Also,
that's funny.
Mary White says, I know what song I'm requesting next time Price of Reason Live does karaoke. I actually have done that song on karaoke a few times.
We can tell.
Well, I mean, I don't even know this. I probably sang it now in a higher key, and I don't have the music, so it probably sounded weird. And I didn't warm up, but hopefully at least I gave the vibe of it.
Yeah, I've always suspected that you were a lounge singer in Canada, so it's all starting to line up.
Hopefully, at least for kind of off the cuff, like while we're fast forwarding, I gave the right vibe of the song. So now they're here, and he's like, "Hey, I had a birthday, and you weren't there. You know what I did? I ended up celebrating with Jack. Jack Daniels. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine that you weren't there. I don't care. It's fine." And then, hey, he wants to talk to you. Oh, you like your Tamlin. The next time there will be a death, it'll be her. Hello. That's like the line. And then, no, I have to go. I have to go wash my face. Sam, you gotta do something. You know what? I have an idea, Al. If you say she's going to get killed in Chinatown, let's bring her to Chinatown. So she can get killed? No, that's not a good idea. It is a good idea, Al. And then he goes here, and then this guy, like Ross, arrives like, what, are you kidding me? This is our chance to become national. What, are you kidding? We got to get our Emmy Award. I don't know what he talks about.
And that was it in a nutshell.
Is he holding the camera properly, Ro?
Well, people have held it like that, but if you're just carrying it, usually you grab it by that top handle there.
Yes.
He's holding it like a weapon.
Then he's like, "Oh, I see that person. I'm going to stay right here. Ross, stay with her." Yeah, don't worry about it. And he runs after her, and then
he does a lot of running in this episode.
A lot of running. Oh, I have to switch the file, like flipping the record.
Yes.
This is the part that Tex and Ron Donofrio love the most when I have another file. So I think it's this one.
File number 2. No more robots motorboating?
No, you're good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, okay. Share screen. Real change, as Murroxtra says. Yes.
Embiggen, please. There you go.
Yes, do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't hurt me, don't hurt me. Oh, never mind, sorry. What is it? Well, what's the problem?
Oh no.
Oh no.
You said to stay with me. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll take care of you. I'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine right here. Yeah. Just come with me. Yeah. I will say, though, she could have run away from him. He's not like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but whatever.
Well, she tries a little bit later.
Yeah. You can tell that he's, I mean, here you can tell obviously he's holding her
Securely.
But I think too, it's I guess it's the shock too that that he's the one that's doing this stuff.
Right. I mean, I think that it's the shock, but she could have just yelled out here.
Yeah.
And instead, he's just like takes her. No, you're coming with me. Well, he does put her hand on his mouth, but I don't know. And then he arrives and he goes, "Oh, where are they? Well, they I don't know where they are. They're not here. You look up Ross and see what his background is." Well, he had a record and he had a
He's a
background in
soldier, an electrical engineer.
electrical engineer. And do you think that he could take a tape recorder and hook it up to a phone? Of course he can. I made the other guy's voice. Of course he can, Sam. Well, then maybe he's the killer. Where is he right now? Let me find Tamlin. I'll zero in on her.
I told him to stay right here.
Don't worry, I'll get Sam. I don't know why at this point Al's just like lounging around on this corner here. He could have been a little more like urgent here.
Proactive.
Yeah, I mean, just like, hey, Sam.
He didn't know where to go.
Right. So then he's like, they're on a roof. They're in the corner. You have to go right around the corner. They're the top of the warehouse. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, some sort of back alley thing.
Yeah.
By the train tracks.
Honestly, it doesn't look like these two things are even, near
close
each other
together,
in real
right.
life. It feels like two completely separate locations that had nothing to do with each other.
He took an Uber.
But whatever, suspending disbelief. And then he very quickly runs up this thing, but runs. And then he's like, don't do it. Don't do it. What do you mean? I got us our jobs back. We were done for until we finally got all those murders that I did. And finally people wanted us. I got us our jobs back by killing all those women. Yeah,
they were just prostitutes and strippers.
Yeah, they were just prostitutes and strippers. Nobody cared about them. So what? You're gonna kill her now? Don't do it. It's over. It's over. And then he he kind of doesn't throw her off. He's like, it's over. And he's like, you're right. It is over. I got no choice now. And then he's like, Sam. He's like, no, don't. I'm not letting you go. I'm not letting you go. Sam. And then he's like, I gotta go. I can't get it going. Yeah. Poof. And sorry, those were some weird sound effects.
Somehow they fit.
Somehow you got the main idea. Listen, I'm doing my best, whoever watches the stream is already used to it, so just
right.
It's the thought that counts. It's not that I'm giving anything wrong. I'm giving the basic information, and with the help of the both of you, that you cover for me in places that I don't exactly remember and whatever.
It's like the cliff notes.
Yeah, and then I think between the three of us, we gave a good feel for what this episode is about. And then here's another one of those episodes where they don't actually say what happens to anybody. They don't say what happens to her, what happens to to the guy that he leapt into, nothing. And then it's like, so this is goodbye. Maybe I'll see you again one day. No, you won't. And then he's like,
she's gorgeous too, by the way. Just
yeah, she was lovely. She was lovely. At least I like the fact that if they already gave him a woman, if they gave him a woman who was very pleasant. They didn't, they went for pleasant looking lady. They didn't, you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Although to be fair, even all those ladies that he never did anything with, they are always, most of the time they bring ladies that are,
no homely ladies on this show.
No, most of the time when he's there saving some woman, even if he doesn't have any kind of romantic thing going on with her, usually it's a woman that at least looks pretty decent. And then
And he leaves.
and then it well, you killed my two brothers. Now it's just me and you. Oh boy. And then it's like they had this kind of I don't know if they were going for like a Chinese type of song, like because she's like Asian. And
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Like, hey, throw in an Asian song.
I don't know, like they were going for some kind of Asian thing, but
Yeah,
who cares? I mean, it was in Chinatown, so I can sort of understand why. Although, I generally
it wasn't a big part of the plot though.
no, it wasn't a big part of the plot. I don't know. So what? Maybe back in those days, they're like, it's an Asian woman. Somebody that made music is like, let's add a gong here. I don't know. In any case, that was the episode. And now I want to look at some comments. So before we kind of
weigh in.
The Dead Man says Scott Bakula is not as good as runner as Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is a very good runner. That's like his best quality. Rhonda Nefero, Price of Reason Live would not make it in the projection booth
because you're too noisy.
Oh,
switching the reels.
Oh, okay. Switch for all the house party fans. Yeah, okay. Mary White. Valentine's Day. What is his birthday? I didn't know that. Super Mario Bros. 3, I'll have dual CDs. One plays the music and the other one video. Why not music on both sides of the disc? Yeah, there are CDs that do that, although I'm not sure why. He should have. Okay, I'll do better with this real change in the future. Oh, what's the problem? Is Price's catchphrase. That's because of that Michael Jackson thing. That like I said on a stream that Michael Jackson at the end of Thriller goes, "What's the problem?" And everybody said like, "No, he doesn't say. He says, what's the matter?" And then I actually, after the stream that everybody told me that, I went and I looked at it, and he indeed says, "What's the problem?" That's like his quote. That was my that was my best Michael Jackson impression.
Nice.
Trying to see plot insert instead of plot hole. I don't know what that means.
I think they were talking about the building that magically appeared.
Oh, Murakstra, you should be a Foley artist. I guess that's because I make noises and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. One of JM's sayings was that hyperspace and other things moved at the speed of the plot. That's funny. Right. Gotta go for the Batman 66 exposition splat. That was probably because of the noises I made. But people are enjoying it. Rhonda Nefero says it was a fun episode.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that everybody said that my real change was slow, but I think that I think that a lot of people did enjoy this episode. You can tell me in the comments if I didn't see, like, if you enjoyed it or didn't like it or whatever it is. And
I think a lot of people said they really liked this one.
Let's start with you, Ro. If you had to think, we've been watching season 4, and like you said, there's been hits, there's been misses. How did you feel about this one?
I think it was pretty solid. I think, like I said, I think season 4, it feels like they're trying new things, and I think they really hit a home run with this episode. I think it had a lot of great story elements and some nice surprises, and it was pretty solid. I give it an 8 out of 10 if I had to rate it, but it was pretty good.
I will say this, that we talk about stuff that if it's above average or below average, this is an above average one. This is one also because something happens in it that doesn't usually happen in a lot of the episodes. It's one that I remember. Meaning, even if we didn't do this rewatch that we do for this podcast, if suddenly somebody were to say, give me 20 episodes that you remember, this would probably be amongst the 20, just because it was something that we don't see every day. And I remember that he genuinely had a time, to develop an actual relationship of sorts. and there was a lady that was pleasant, and the whole thing of the psychic, and then she could see him, and the murder mystery. This is an example for an episode that works. It's a combination of being solid, like one of the ones we see in earlier seasons, but also doing what you said, Ro, kind of swinging for the fence and trying something a little different, which I like.
Yeah.
So that's how I felt about it. Script, how did you feel about this episode?
I think this is a solid episode. It does some newer things. I mean, we have Sam involved in a leap much longer than he's ever been so far in this series. 2 weeks. He's stuck in the same body, and he's forged a really strong relationship. I would have preferred to see a couple more scenes of him actually doing some news coverage and actually getting better at it because he only got that one moment.
Right.
But outside of that, I thought the plot was good. I liked the twist and the setups, and it was a very well done episode.
Yeah, I think it's I agree. And then I want to just look at some of these comments here. Tex Rogers says, I enjoyed it. I'm drawn to the mystery stories. I liked it too. Kid Cat, I enjoyed it. Malachi D. Wildman says, did script ever work on Atlantis with Tamlin?
Oh, Stargate Atlantis? No, but I know people that, I've been to the set when they were shooting, but I had never officially worked for them. And I never met Tamlin. I have bumped into Jason Momoa. He's not as tall as you think.
Didn't Martin Zero, whatever his name is, work on Stargate Atlantis? The one that later ruined Quantum Leap reboot?
Oh, maybe.
He wasn't an important person there. He was like on the bottom of the food chain, but I think he started his career. I could be wrong.
Because I worked with a bunch of the actors on Stargate Atlantis, like the main cast. None of the guest stars and stuff and other projects. I know one of them. I remember helping one out because he was workshopping a funny fake mockumentary idea. I helped him workshop that, and then he took it and made a fantastic indie film. And also, oh God, I worked with the other actor. His name's escaped me at the moment, but he ended up appearing on the series Arrow for a few seasons. Yeah. Those are my Stargate Atlantis connections. They're thin.
Yes. So I guess we have Mary White says 7 out of 10, and then Tracy Alexander says one of the hits of the season. I agree that I think that if nothing else, within season 4, this is one of the better episodes. You can argue if it's like a top 5 or top 20 or top whatever it is, but top 5 of this season, I think we have to rewatch the whole season, but I have a feeling that if once we're done with a rewatch of this season, this will be considered one of my top 5 of the season. It is a solid episode within this season.
Yeah. And I don't think this season so far I've seen an episode that has really, really, really wowed me. I don't think. And I know I missed 1 week, but this definitely was again, one of the more just solidly written, well acted, well crafted stories.
Well, the season 4, it started off with a bang with the switching of Sam and Al, which is a great episode. But then I feel like they had either swings that didn't work. They had a few episodes that were a little more solid, some that didn't quite work. But this one, it's like I said before, it's a hybrid of everything. It's like the season 4 hit swing for the fences, along with the solid storytelling and good production that we grown accustomed to prior. So this was just an episode things worked. Tex Rogers says Lisa Katrayan said she didn't like this one, mostly because Sam was cheating on his wife. To be fair, though, he didn't know he was cheating on his wife. He doesn't remember his wife, and his wife, said in that episode to Al, she's like, it's okay if he doesn't remember me. This is better. This is best. So, I mean, unfortunately, that's how they explained it in the show. And he's not supposed to remember her, so I guess he doesn't.
And it's technically not Sam's body, but it is his spirit, so.
Yeah, I mean,
there's some wiggle room there. It's still ethically controversial.
Yes, I mean, even like you said with the Wonder Woman problem that he's using somebody else's body to get some action. Yeah, exactly. At the same time, the only thing in his defense, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this. I probably shouldn't say it, but on the other hand, I'm thinking it, so why don't I say it? And that's really the conflict here. I want to be as honest as I can, so I'm just going to say what I think. That if already somebody, like, some woman was using his body, at least she looks nice.
Oh God.
Like, I feel like
on the
even
superficial side, that works. Sure.
even if this like old geezer were somehow like to leap in the middle of like Sam in bed with her, I think he'd be like, "Hey, like, how did I get here? This is great."
Oh my gosh, my body's young and youthful and able to function.
Right? Like, I'm really like how do I don't even know what I'm looking to say, but yeah, he'd probably be very pleased. Tex Rogers says it's one of my top 5.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah.
Ron Donofero, I don't consider it cheating. He doesn't remember that he's married. I agree. Super Mario Brothers 3. James Dean and Dean Stockwell were close in age to the point when James Dean died. Many predicted that Dean Stockwell would be the next James Dean. And originally, he did do these kind of indie movies. I think his original awards that he won was like in his youth. He won a few awards or won something.
He won a ton in his youth. He was in one of the most intriguing murder mysteries. I think it was like, they remade it with like Sandra Bullock years later, but he was in a Perfect Murder type of film. And then he gets caught at the end, but he plays like the super genius that thinks he can outwit the police and the legal system.
The dead man says, "Price of Reason, you guys should act out a Quantum Leap episode with cheesy props and costumes." I don't quite know how that would work.
We might. We're planning to do a special one in April. I think might.
Yeah.
I hope we do that. No spoilers yet, but
well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Have to think about that. I don't consider it cheating either, but that was my point of view. Mary White was convinced. She initially gave it a 7 out of 10, but now she's changing it to 8 out of 10. Storm King says, "It was a good episode. I like when through sprinkle bits of lore."
Oh yeah, like they also talked about the waiting room again, and how like Sam can't stay here forever because
the other person,
the other guy is in Sam's body back in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Actually, I can't wait till some of you guys see the waiting room, because that's going to be shown.
Ron Donofero says, if he'd remember he's married after doing the deed, there could have been an interesting subplot about Sam's conflict. I think that, keep in mind that during this time, you didn't have Netflix streaming. They don't know even if somebody watched that episode that he met with his wife. Mm-hmm. They needed, like, that one with the wife is actually one that they agreed to stray from the formula and do something they don't usually do. But very quickly, within one episode, they're back to square one, and they continue, like, what they were doing before, because they don't want to lose kind of the formula, the syndication, all this stuff. It was different then for shows back then. I do feel that if this was like on Netflix streaming, they would have had a chance to really swing for a lot more fences and try a lot of different ideas that they didn't. But in this case, during this time, this was probably the most they could stretch it. You could tell they tried, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dead man said, "I really like this episode," and I'm trying to see. Storm King, it sucks that they canceled Atlantis and left it on a cliffhanger.
They did the same thing with Stargate Universe.
The dead man says this episode was a banger.
But
very gray area. And Marks for 7 is here. I didn't see him before. Oh, come on, you guys! Don't really expect the not his body leaping, do you?
Oh, it's not his body; it's his soul.
It's his soul, I guess.
Yeah.
Some things it's best not.
They do explain it in season 5 in far more detail.
Yeah, I mean, the goldfish has no hands. Am I the goldfish? I do have hands. I do have hands, actually. That's not true. So yeah, it's called episodic format. I agree. So yeah, I think that we did. And Marks for 7 says a reset button. Yeah, basically, I think that overall, I feel like there's kind of even a consensus here we're all pretty much in agreement that at least for season 4, this is a good episode overall in the series. It's an episode that I think it's fair to say is memorable. People may rank it in different places. It's a above average episode, and I think that I wish in the series that they gave him more kind of romance and stuff. They didn't do it often, and maybe that's the better thing. Maybe because of the issue that the Wonder Woman issue. But
Well,
I still
most
liked.
well, like most of the romances were rather just the first 3-date flirtation type of stuff. Like you never got into the intimacy, and that's been a rarity. Because this, I think, is, let's see, he slept with his old piano teacher. That was the first one.
Ah, yes, he did. He did
Then
sleep
there
with a piano
was,
teacher.
gosh, there was another one.
He didn't sleep with the model that wanted to sleep with him.
No, he didn't sleep with the model. Oh, he slept with the photographer in Vietnam. So that's 2.
Ah, okay.
And then I guess he came back and got to copulate with his wife. So that doesn't count because that's his body. And then I guess, Tamlin, she's number 3 so far.
That's a funny word, copulate.
So I guess this was the third time. That's a lot of he's traveling around in a lot of places, and all these nice ladies like him, and it's a lot of turning down nice ladies. So don't know.
It's a low ratio, yeah.
But also, I mean, I think that it was a little more interesting here or fair here because she saw him for who he was.
Mm-hmm.
It still doesn't solve the Wonder Womaning issue, but I will say that she saw him for who he was, which is really what was the big draw to him, because he could be himself, and she saw him as Sam Beckett, and he could be Sam Beckett, and I think that that's why this whole thing was so valuable to him. In addition, she was also very pleasant, so he could be himself and she's pleasant. I think he it's funny because they made it that he has to stop from getting killed, which obviously he'll do, but anything else he probably would have been like, you know what, screw it, I'll just stay here forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was contemplating that, but again, he's inside the body of a 59-year-old man, and so he's only got maybe 20 years before he passes away. And if he dies, we don't know if he's going to leap again or not, or if he stays with the body.
Rhonda Fair said, "Oh, just say A Price of Reason live. She's friggin' hot. she's very pleasant. She's I don't know what she looks like today, but she certainly looked pleasant then. I feel like I haven't seen her in a while. Is she in something?
Yeah, she was in the most recent. She was in the season prior to the last season of Cobra Kai.
She's also she's from Karate Kid 2, right?
She's from Karate Kid 2. She was also in the first season of Star Trek Picard as a Romulan. Yeah,
I like, Karate Kid is good. This is good. Cobra Kai is good. Season 1 of Picard is like,
Yeah.
I kind of have deleted that from my mind, but yeah. So she's Kumiko, whatever her name is.
Yeah, she's Kamiko in Cobra Kai, not Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, yeah. So yeah, that was nice. I thought it was nice that they brought her. And I liked her in Karate Kid too. I liked everything. Although the only thing I'll say about Karate Kid 2 is that they really laid the groundwork, with Elizabeth Shue and her character, and then just the next movie they're just like, she left. They got rid of her in like 1 second without even, it felt very unsatisfying considering how hard he worked to get the girl in the first movie. They kind of tossed aside Elizabeth Shue very, very quickly there.
Well, she didn't come back for the sequel, so.
Well, I understand, and also it wouldn't have made sense that she came back. Honestly, if they had planned to make it that he supposedly goes to Japan, which I think they filmed like in their backyard or something, or backlot, but
Hawaii, I think.
Hawaii or whatever it is. If there was a situation he was supposed to go to Japan, it makes sense that Elizabeth Shue is not with him.
Well, they wrote their idea for the sequel is still in the Valley. It's when Elizabeth Shue wasn't coming back that they decided, well, what are we going to do next? It's like, let's go to Japan.
I did not know that. What initially? Now I'm curious. What initially was supposed to be the sequel?
It was supposed to be kind of like Rocky 2 a little bit is what I heard, because the first one is essentially Rocky, except the kid wins, you know. So the second one I think was supposed to be with him and Johnny Lawrence kind of mending fences, because Johnny Lawrence is featured in the opening of number
so
2.
is Kreese. We're all
And
game,
Kreese,
I guess. So yeah, they could have had like a rematch. You know what though? If they would have done that, we wouldn't have had Cobra Kai the series. I feel like this probably was the best thing that needed to happen, and I don't mind it at all.
No, it worked out well. I mean, I know that Elizabeth Shue, I think she got like 2 or 3 other film offers, and that's what she took afterwards, because she did that, and then her big one was Adventures in Babysitting.
Adventures in Babysitting, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that they now censor that. You can't say "don't F with a babysitter" or something like that.
Well, whenever they have broadcasted on TV, they always censored it.
Right, but I wonder if on these streaming services they didn't drop it on one of those Disney crappy ones, or like they didn't do it.
They did a remake of it a few years back with another actress who was also like, you know, a good actress and cute, but she's, I mean, it was stupid to remake it. Just
very stupid. In any case, I think that this was a good episode. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I guess before we head out, maybe just some final things, or if you want to even plug anything. Ro, is there anything? While you talk, I'm going to put your channels in the links.
Yes. So Thursdays I usually drop a new podcast audio episode. So we dropped a new one this morning, and we talked about Star Wars and the Oscars. Oscar season being, you know, just passed, so we just kind of had a discussion about past Oscar nominations and its relationship to Star Wars, and why we don't see science fiction in award shows besides all the technical and Saturn awards and stuff like that.
That's why.
Where is the prestige science fiction? That's about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good conversations to have. I know that history quite well.
Awesome. Yeah.
So right now I'm putting in Ro's YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed to it, you should absolutely do that right now. And now let me find you, Script Doctor.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I understand, but still, you know, for good measure.
Yeah, but that's.
And actually, I would.
But it's all right.
I would rather you guys follow the podcast and just kind of look through our back catalog, because there's we don't talk about just Star Wars. We talk a little bit about everything, nerd, but we get kind of deep. So I'm sure there's a topic somewhere in there for somebody.
I'm sure there is, and really, Ro is just very, very knowledgeable when it comes to this stuff. And if you haven't checked out his stuff, you should definitely do that. Script, of course, anything that has to do with writing. If you even have thoughts of how do I improve writing, how do I become a writer, you can learn a lot both from his Patreon and from his YouTube channel with his shows.
Yeah.
You should definitely do that.
So it's a different channel, because only a couple of people think of me as like a critic, but I'm actually a story analyst, which is very different, because I'm not talking about necessarily my opinions of what I like or dislike. I'm talking about the merit of the work itself. So yeah, it's a little different from what you normally get, and I also teach you how to solve creative problems as well, with some of my my analysis and reviews of various shows.
Stormkick says, I have to admit I like Price's theme, very catchy beat. Thank you. And Malachi D. Wildman says, take care, and thank you for the $10 super chat. And thanks for Nick, who had to deal with a family situation, but hopefully he'll be here with us next week. And I guess quickly before we go, I want to just make sure that I said hi to everybody. Super Mario, I think I did at this point. Super Mario Brothers 3, Mary White, Malachi D. Wildman, who gave a $10 super chat, Tex Rogers, Marla Sharendorf. I thought that Marla was rather quiet today. Hope everything's okay. We had Tracy Alexander, which was nice to see her here again. And I said Tex Rogers, Wanda Neferu, Robnut Skubla. There's a song called Temptation Eyes by the Grassroots. I didn't know that. DJ Play Nice, wee, of course. And I'm trying to see. I think there was Ghost Fixter. There was the Dead Man, also friend of the channel. Kit Kat. Matthew McGee. Nice. I caught a live stream. Hi, everyone. Feel like he caught it and disappeared. But yeah, no, maybe he's still here. Some people, they watch and they don't necessarily comment every second. Scribelight was here, also friend of the channel. Marlo Sharendorf was here, I guess. Maybe I was just quick to say that I didn't see her enough. Sammy Threepeat just dropping in to show some love, brother. Sammy Threepeat is a great guy. He's a great musician. Really like his music stuff, and he does his own live streams where he talks to people about stuff. He's a cool guy. And Storm King. If I miss somebody, I apologize. I try to scroll here and look for everybody. Obviously, sometimes Backyard Tardis, Storm King. We had a really nice crowd here, and really appreciate hanging out with you all. I think we've gone over everybody. Marla Sharendorf says all good, and Marks for 7 is here, and yeah, this is very cool. Thank you all of you, for hanging out with us. Like, we have this cool thing that we do here every week, and we'll be here next week, and I'll be happy to see everybody here again. And at this point, I guess I'll just pull up our outro song. Bye.
Please enjoy.
I'm such a